Good morning, my Real News Midday TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning for November 3, 2023, labor accused of robbing teen of $40,000 charged. A St. Ann laborer was charged after he allegedly held up a teen boy at a knife point and robbed him of $40,000 in Greenville District, Trelawney on Sunday, October 15. Charged is 31-year-old Sean Yackel of Pimento Walk District in Otria, St. Ann. Reports are that about 3 p.m., a teen was on his way to deliver $40,000 when he was intercepted by Yackel, who held him up with a knife and robbed him of the cash. On Wednesday, November 1, Yackel was seen by the teen's father in the town of Falmouth and alerted the police. He was later arrested and charged after a question and answer session. A court date is being finalized. 2 men charged after pistol and ammo found on Spanish Town Road. 2 men have been charged after a pistol and 14 rounds of ammunition were reportedly found in their possession on Spanish Town Road, Kingston 14 last month. Charged are 27-year-old Patrick Bishop, a taxi operator of Tobias Street, Kingston 13, and 28-year-old Carlos Johns, a delivery man of Tewari Crescent, Kingston Central. They have been charged with possession of a prohibited weapon, unauthorized possession of ammunition, possession of prohibited weapon with intent to traffic, and the trafficking prohibited weapon. Reports are that about 4 p.m., both men were traveling in a Toyota Probox motorcar when they were stopped by the police and a search was conducted. One Smith & Wesson .40 pistol with a magazine containing 14.40 rounds of ammunition were found. Both men were arrested and charged on Wednesday, November 1. Beachy Stout wanted wife dosed with acid, witness tells a court. A purported car salesman who said he was commissioned by Portland businessman Everton Beachy Stout MacDonald to dose his wife Tonya with black acid to dismantle her because of suspected infidelity, told the court that he aborted the mission because she was too striking. The new prosecution witness, who took the stand Thursday afternoon, testified that he met with MacDonald on 3 occasions between 2019 and 2020. He said in meeting MacDonald for the first time alongside an individual who introduced them in a car park beside a supermarket MacDonald owned in Port Antonio, the businessman told them that a pure problem him wife a give. She no come home most of the nights, I give him pure bone, and him want me to get some black acid and dismantle her, he testified. He said MacDonald on that first occasion, after they begged him gas money to go back to Linstead, gave them $50,000. He told the court that on a second trip, still in 2019, he again met with a businessman in the same car park, at which time he claimed that he was shown a shortcut behind the supermarket and told he could walk there to get to the main after completing the mission. Asked by the prosecutor marshalling the evidence what the mission was, he said, to burn him wife with black acid. According to the witness, on that occasion, MacDonald instructed him to walk behind him and lead him into the supermarket, where he said the businessman proceeded to talk to a cashier who he described to the court as a very, very beautiful lady. She was very pretty. He indicated to me that she was his wife. He stood up next to her and signaled with his mouth, a she, the witness claimed. He told the court that he then walked over to the unsuspecting wife and said to her, "You're so beautiful," at which she smiled. He said in meeting up with MacDonald moments later in the car park, he was handed $60,000 for the purchase of the black acid. The witness claimed that some days later, he visited the salt factory in St. Catherine, where he gave a friend some money to purchase the corrosive substance. He said upon being handed the liquid in a glass bottle with a gold cap, he waited for more than a week before returning to Portland on a day in 2020. He said once there and in the same car park, he handed the purchase to MacDonald, who met him. He said the businessman opened the bottle, take a little tip and put it on his hand, make up his face like something burn him, and then smile and say, "Right stuff." He said MacDonald then secured the acid in an upstairs room and led him to a plaza where he showed him his wife sitting under a hairdryer at a salon. He said the McDonald, who didn't stop but kept walking, then returned to the car park where he told him that he could carry out the act right where he had seen Tonya. Me said to him, "Me go deal with it. Give me back the acid right now." He went upstairs and took the bottle and handed me it. I walked towards a place where the beautiful lady was under the dryer and slipped through a gas station because me never go do what him tell me to do. So me slid through a gas station with the acid, he told the court. Asked why he did not carry out the mission, he said, "Sir, that lady was too beautiful. I couldn't do her that. I am not that kind of person." At this point, trial judge Justice Chester Stamp quipped, "So if she wasn't beautiful, you would do it?" The witness later told the court that in walking away, he called a cop he knew as a friend and told him, and further went to the police station and handed over the bottle of acid. He said he then accompanied the cop to the supermarket and pointed out Tonya to him and told him about the plot McDonald had. He claimed he left Portland and had no further contact with McDonald, but made his first statement to the police about the crime in 2020 when he was in custody for another crime and saw that the businessman had been arrested for the death of his wife. The witness admitted that since then he was convicted for 2 offenses and pleaded guilty under a plea bargain arrangement. McDonald and the co-accused Oscar Barnes are on trial for the July 20, 2020 murder of Tonya, whose partially burnt body was found on the Sherwood Forest main road in Portland with multiple stab wounds. McDonald is accused of ordering the murder of Tonya, while Barnes, who was allegedly hired by another man, Denverlin Minot, is accused of committing the actual murder. The two were married for 8 years, up until Tonya's slaying. Tonya is the second wife of McDonald to be murdered. The probe into her killing resulted in the investigations into the death of the first wife of the businessman being reopened. McDonald is to stand trial for her killing separately at a later date. The matter continues this morning at 10. Jamaican farm worker injured, another arrested after fight. One Jamaican farm worker in Canada sustained injuries and another was arrested by the police following a fight on a farm in Ontario last Friday. The injured man was taken to the hospital for treatment. Acting Chief Liaison Officer for the Jamaican Liaison Service in Canada, Althea Riley, who confirmed the incident, said based on the investigation carried out by the Liaison Service, a group of farm workers who had completed their work contract in Canada were about to get on buses headed to Pearson International Airport to board flights to Jamaica when an altercation developed between 2 of the workers. Upon hearing of the incident, a senior liaison officer was dispatched to the location to carry out an in-depth investigation and offer support in line with the mandate of the service, Riley said. "We are happy to report that the injured worker has since been released from hospital and will be returning home in short order," she added. She said the liaison service, in conjunction with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security in Jamaica, will continue to monitor the worker's recovery, and where further treatment is required, the insurance policy he has in Canada through the liaison service will be activated. Regarding the other worker, Riley pointed out that the liaison service will be extending the usual courtesies in circumstances like these. She said, however, that this is now a police matter, and against that background, the service will act within the boundaries of the Canadian law. In the meantime, the Jamaican Liaison Service has moved apace to hire an attorney in Canada to take legal actions on behalf of a 30-year-old farm worker from Westmoreland who was hit from his pedal cycle by a drunken driver on October 15, 2023. The farm worker sustained a leg injury that required surgery. He has since been released from hospital. The liaison service is in contact with both the worker and his family and will continue to closely monitor this situation. Improve detention conditions, INDECOM urges government. The Independent Commission of Investigations is again calling for the government to implement urgent reforms to improve the conditions under which people are being held in lockups across the island. At a press briefing on Thursday, INDECOM released a report outlining the number of deaths in lockups over the last 2 years. Most of the detainees died due to falling ill while in lockups. Assistant Commissioner Hamish Campbell disclosed that 14 detainees died in lockups over the period 2021 to 2022. 43 deaths while in custody have been recorded for the period 2014 to 2022. According to Mr. Campbell, most of the deaths were caused by illness rather than abuse or other forms of violence.
Of the 14 cases which are identified either by illness, suicide or murder, 10 died through illness, 3 of the detainees committed suicide, and 1 was the victim of a murder by another detainee. At the time of their deaths, 12 of the prisoners were convicted and 2 remained unconvicted. In other words, they had not yet been charged or convicted before the courts. The age ranges of the men were from 20 to 56, of which 6 were in their early to mid-50s. 6 of the 14 prisoners have been arrested for an offence of murder, 4 for non-fatal assaults and violence, indecent assault or wounding, 2 for acquisitive offences, and 2 for malicious destruction of property. The Commission's view is that police stations are not the appropriate location for sick or very sick people, some of whom are held in custody for a considerable period of time. The JCF is not equipped to host detainees who require immediate or prolonged medical attention. Alternatively, these persons should be detained in remand facilities where medical support and identification of illness may be better recognised and administered. This same observation has been made by the PCOA, Indicom in its 2013 report, and by the government report of 2014, the review of the detention system in Jamaica. All 10 prisoners who died as a result of illness were pronounced dead at the hospital following their transfer from the police station, albeit a few were found unresponsive in their cells and then conveyed to hospital in that state. The other 4 died in the police station itself, the 3 suicides and the murder.
The Indicom Assistant Commissioner insisted that the police stations are not the appropriate location, neither are they equipped to host the sick or very sick people, some of whom are held in custody for a considerable period of time, but who may require immediate or prolonged medical care. He suggested that these types of detainees be housed instead at remand centers where medical support and identification of illness may be better recognized and administered. Indicom head Hugh Faulkner similarly recommended that long-term detainees be housed in high-security facilities in order to ease the overcrowding and illness among detainees in police lockups. He argued that police personnel are also exposed to illnesses as a result of the unsanitary conditions in lockups.
Where prisoners are remanded by the courts and are awaiting trial, their detention should be within the state's purpose-built remand institutions. The JCF is ill-equipped to manage long-term detention in the numbers that they currently do. The Commission does not believe that the JCF lockup should be utilized to detain prisoners who are sick or very sick. It is self-evident that many more prisoners who are unwell but do not die remain unseen by medical personnel. The lockups are not conducive to administering effective medical care or to ensure recovery.